Today, let's try something new. Today, we will be, my strategy would be a question and answer session, and then trying to explain to you the answer, and probably trying to run you through my thoughts on how I am answering the questions. So, nang sa ganun, medyo masanay kayo kung paano sumagot ng mga tanong during the licensure exam for agriculturists, and at the same time, magkaroon kayo ng deep understanding on the concepts that are reflected in the question and on the answers. Okay? So sisimulan natin itong question and answer na to sa subject ng agricultural economics, and we'll be tackling 5 questions. So to my plan would be to implement such kind of presentation or lecture at least every other day. So mayroon kang concept lecture, which is the usual presentation that I'm doing. I'm presenting to you specific topic, and then question and answer with explanation, and then concept again, and then question and answer again, and so on and so forth. So yun yung plano kong gawin para lang magkaroon kayo ng variety on whatever type of presentation or on whatever type of strategy, reviewing strategy would you prefer on a particular day. Okay? So let's start off with this question. So napakasimple lang yung tanong. Ang tanong niya, tariff barrier. So sa exam, madalas lumalabas yan. So basically, ano ba yung tinatanong niyan? Ang tinatanong niyan is, ano ba among the choices here is a tariff barrier? So, if we're going to lengthen the question would be, what among the choices is a type of a tariff barrier? Now, you cannot answer that question if you do not know what a tariff barrier is. So, tariff barrier in the context of international economics is, we have the term tariff. What is a tariff? Tariff is a form of tax. Okay? Tax that is levied on, that is being put on what? Okay? Put on goods that is na pumapasok sa isang bansa or that is being imported to a country. So tariff is a barrier kasi nga it does not does not encourage trade among two nations. It actually discourages trade among nations. Right? So kapag kasi naglagay ka ng tax sa mga import na papasok sa bansa mo, for example, you are preventing that country to provide more to you kasi mas mahal ka. Ang iniisip ng bansa na yun na magbibigay sa'yo, ay may tax yan. Hindi dapat tayo nagbibigay dyan ng mas marami, or possibly they can withhold overall exportation to your country because you are putting tariff on their produce. So yon, malinaw. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng tariff barrier. Now, alin kaya dyan ang example ng tariff barrier? We move forward with letter A, export tax. So mapaisip tayo. The tax here is being levied on or the tax here is being charged not to import, kasi ang tariff barrier natin is tax on import, but to export. So isipin nyo na lang, ang Pilipinas, for example, mag-e-export tayo ng mangga, and before mag-export yung mga farmers natin, tataksan na natin sila dito. So is that a tariff barrier? Tariff barrier ba yun ng mga pumapasok na goods sa atin? No, because we're talking here about exports. So these are exports, these are tariff being set by our own government sa mga goods na lalabas ng bansa natin. Bakit ba kasi ginagawa ng government to? Well, ang reason ng export tax is, una, para kumita ang gobyerno sa mga ine-export din na produce natin. So this is so true if we are exporting so much of a good. Okay, so marami yung ine-export natin, that's one. Pangalawa, para din balansehin yung presyo sa international market. So for example, kapag masyadong mura yung presyo natin pagdating sa international market and it might disrupt yung price dynamics in the international market, we actually put some export taxes sa ating mga produkto. Although export taxes hindi na siya ganun kauso ngayon because it is an unfair pricing strategy ng mga bansa. So that's it. Quota, letter B. Ang quota, is it a form of tax? May binabayaran ka ba dyan sa mga imports again? No. Quota means kung ito yung cup of water mo, kung ito yung basket mo, for example, and ito lang yung sinet ng gobyerno ng bansa na pupuntahan ng produkto mo na level of produce na kakailanganin nila, hanggang dyan ka lang. So, ibig sabihin nun, kapag mas marami kang produce, let's say up until this level yung produce mo, hindi na yan pwede. Hindi na nila tatanggapin. So, that's quota. May quota sila. Let's say, 200,000 tons lang yung kailangan nila na mangga. Meron kang 300,000 na pwedeng i-deliver. Yung 200,000, yes, tatanggapin nila, pero the rest of it, hindi na. That's quota. So, wala kang babayaran. Walang tax dyan. Pero limited lang yung pwede mong i-export or pwede nilang i-import as a country. Iwan natin to. Kasi, iwan natin yung letter C. Letter D naman, preferential trading. Ano bang ibig sabihin yan? Well, preferential trading, nangyayari yan as an agreement between two countries. So for example, dito sa ASEAN region natin, kung si Pilipinas nagkaroon ng agreement kay Vietnam na walang tax, any sort, walang tax and walang quota ang rice between the two countries, that is an example of preferential trading. So it is merely an agreement. We might be talking about tax, yes, pero we also might not be talking about it. Pwedeng quota lang yung pinag-uusapan natin. Okay? Or may mga sets of rules and regulations sa pag-uusap between these two countries that would set kung ano ba yung method or policy nila in terms of trading. So preferential trading is also not the answer. And ang pinaka-obvious na answer, of course, is yung import tax, right? Again, we have defined what a tariff barrier kanina. A tariff barrier is tax levied or being charged, tax levied or charged to imports by the importing country. Okay. So every time na mag-i-import tayo, for example, ang Pilipinas, every time na mag-i-import, yung mga pumapasok na exports galing sa ibang bansa, kapag tinaksan natin yan, ang tawag ho dyan, import tax, and that is a tariff barrier. Kasi it is not encouraging trade, international trade, but it is discouraging it. Kaya siya naging barrier, hadlang. Okay? Hadlang. So siya ay tax na hadlang sa smooth process of international trading. Dako tayo sa next question. The next question is asking the process of transformation of inputs into output. So, anong keywords kaya dyan? Ang tinatanong niya dyan is proseso. Anong proseso daw ng of transforming inputs into output. So, ano kaya yon? Now, what I'm going to do here is to cancel out two choices that doesn't make any sense. So yung first choice would be letter A, process. Ano yan? Diba? Ang question is, the process of transforming inputs and into output. Tapos may choice na process. Hindi nagmi-make sense. Kasi process of what? Yun nga yung tinatanong eh. Anong proseso? But then there's a choice na sinasabi niya, process. So hindi nagmi-make sense. Proseso ng ano ba ito? What are we pertaining to? Right? Yung next na pwede kong i-cancel dyan is letter C. Consumption. Kasi ano ba ang consumption? Consumption is a process, yes, but it is a process of consuming or obtaining, the process of consuming or obtaining goods and services to satisfy yung ating satisfaction. That's consumption. So, hindi siya a process of transformation. It is the process of getting. It is the process of obtaining, of consuming para masatisfy yung satisfaction levels natin. Right? Or to satisfy our needs and wants. So, we are only live with two here. We have manufacturing and we have production. Now, let's go on to talk about a theory in microeconomics, which is the theory of production. Now, the theory of production, simply put, is yung mga factors of production natin or yung mga inputs natin, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, they will undergo a process. So the process could be manufacturing process. And from there, we can produce an output in the form of finished goods and services. Now, the question, again, is the process of transforming inputs into output. Now, we might be inclined to choose manufacturing. But remember, guys, manufacturing is only here, nasa gitna. It is only one strategy in production. Kasi pwede namang farming yan. Okay? Or pwede namang service yung binubuo natin, so walang necessary manufacturing na mangyayari. Right? But when we're talking about the total process of converting your inputs into output, the answer is production. Okay? Next question. These are considered as fixed costs, except letter A, piece rate labor, depreciation, rent, or interest expense on loan. We can only answer this type of question if we know what fixed cost is. Now, in the theory of cost in microeconomics, we have two kinds of cost in the short run. And these are fixed cost and variable cost. So to put this simply, kapag sinabi nating fixed cost, yung cost na binabayaran natin or yung cost from that operation is the same, pare-parehas lang, regardless doon sa pinuproduce mo. Or if we're going to look at it in a business sense, regardless doon sa sales mo. Ang variable cost naman, nagva-vary yan, nag-iiba-iba yan, based doon sa output na pinuproduce mo. Again, fixed cost, fixed, hindi nagbabago kahit na nagbabago yung different levels of production. Variable cost, nagbabago kapag nagbabago yung levels of production. Now, we move here. Let's identify muna alin kaya dyan ang fixed cost. So, unahin natin to. Interest on loan. So, for example, may bumili ka. For example, ang negosyo mo is isang sari-sari store. And para masimulan mo yung sari-sari store, dahil wala kang capital, umutang ka sa Bombay. Umutang ka, let's say, sa Bombay ng 200,000 pesos with an interest of 5% annually. Ngayon, yung 5% annually ba na yun, say, nababayaran mong interest dun sa inutang mo, magbabago ba yun kapag mataas yung sales mo sa store mo or mababa? Yes or no? Hindi magbabago. So this is a fixed cost. Oh. For example, yung store mo na yun, nagrenta ka ng isang facility, isang place, isang location. 12,000 per month. Magbabago ba yun? Magbabago ba yung renta ng store mo kapag mababa yung benta mo? Bababa rin ba yung renta mo? Ay, kapag bumaba yung benta mo, bababa rin yung renta mo? Hindi, di ba? It doesn't make any sense. Fix yan. So this rent is also a fixed cost. O let's say, bumili ka ng mga shelves na paglalagyan mo ng mga benta mo. Ngayon, itong mga shelves na to, naluluma yan. And we term yung cost ng pagkaluma as depreciation. Yung bang pagkaluma ng mga shelves mo, yung mga assets na binili mo for your store, kapag ba tumaas yung benta mo, tataas rin ang depreciation, and pag bumaba ang benta mo, bababa rin ang depreciation? Of course not. It's not also. So ang depreciation is a fixed cost. Now, this one, piece rate labor. Na-specify siya anong klaseng labor? Piece rate daw. Ano ba kasi ang piece rate labor? Ito yung labor na binabayaran natin per piece of output na pinoproduce. So for example, sa isang factory, kumari pagawaan yan ng microchip, for example. And yung number of microchips na pinapak ng isang tao per day, doon nakadepende yung sahod niya. Let's see, another classic example yung barbershop. Yung barbershop, kung mapapansin nyo, pupunta kayo doon, after nyo magupitan, sa mga boys, hindi ko alam sa mga girls, after nyo magupitan, magbabayad kayo sa kahera, yung kahera, bibigyan kayo ng chip, tapos yung chip na yun, ibibigay nyo doon sa barbero. Ito ay isang type of piece rate labor kasi at the end of the day, yung barbero na yun, yung chip na hawak-hawak niya, yung naipon niyang chip, doon nakadepende yung sasahurin niya. So that's piece rate labor. So question, kapag ba piece rate labor, kapag ba yung cost ba ng pagbayad sa labor that is piece rate, nagbabago ba yan pag tumataas ang sales and pag bumababa ang sales? Yes or no? Yes, nagbabago na yan. So this one, piece rate labor, is not a type of fixed cost, but rather a type of variable cost. So the question here, which of the following are considered as fixed costs? And again, may word dito, except. So alin daw dyan ang fixed cost? Alin dyan ang variable cost? Basically, yun yung tinatanong. So among all of the choices daw, they are considered as fixed costs, except for one. So the answer, of course, is letter A, piece rate labor. Next question. The surplus value is eliminated under what economic system? Okay, so there are two terms dyan na kailangan natin, na dapat alam natin. Una is economic system. Pangalawa, surplus value. So yung economic system, we are pertaining here to economic ideologies of nations. So anong mga example dyan? Yung socialism, communism, capitalism, feudalism, fascism. So yun yung pinag-uusapan natin when we're talking about economic system. Surplus value, what is that? Imagine, meron kang baso. Tapos yung baso na to, ito lang yung capacity niya. Okay? So hanggang dito sa level lang na to yung capacity niya. But then, nag-pour ka, let's say, nag-pour ka ng water up to a level kung saan lumampas sa capacity niya. So napuno na, bukod sa napuno na, umapaw pa. Okay? Yan, umapaw pa ngayon. So merong surplus, right? Now, imagine this concept and relate it to labor. So ang sinasabi natin dito is, kung ang value daw ng labor ng isang tao, for example, is ito, so hanggang dito yung value of labor niya, Ang ginagawa daw ng ibang mga companies or ibang mga businesses is, ang sahod lang ng tao na yun is hanggang sa level lang na to. Okay? Now, kapag ang sahod nila is sa level lang na to, and nakakapag-produce sila ng level na here, na up until here, yung level na hindi nabayaran sa kanila, you term that as your surplus value. And that surplus value actually turns as part of a business's profit. Now, question, alin sa mga economic system na to, tinatanggal natin yung surplus value? Diba? In-explain ko na. Kapag profit-oriented ka, okay, so that's one way of thinking about it. Kapag profit-oriented ka, ano ang economic system mo? Okay. So, that's capitalism, right? Kasi under a capitalistic system, ang goal ng isang nangangapital or isang businessman is to have profit. Tama? Yes. Now, under socialism and communism kaya, yun din kaya ang goal? No. Ang goal under socialism and communism is more on equity or equality. Okay? So gusto natin tanggalin yung surplus value under this economic system. Na dapat yung mga laborer nababayaran sila ng tama, na hindi kumikita, hindi yung mga businessman ay hindi nila ginagamit yung kanilang business para i-take advantage yung labor ng mga workers nila. So the answer here is now both A and B. Now, socialism and communism, may distinction yung dalawang yan, but later on na lang natin pag-uusapan. But the central idea of socialism and communism is to flatten the curve. Ganun na lang natin isipin. During the COVID, meron tayong flatten the curve na concept, di ba? So, example lang kasi, under capitalism kasi, you have there a curve. Basically, may mga nasa tuktok na sobrang yayaman, and then may mga nasa baba naman na sobrang hihirap. So, ang gustong gawin ng socialism and capitalism is i-flatten yung curve na yan para pantay-pantay lahat. Walang naaabuso, but at the same time, the problem is wala ring kumikita. Yan. So the answer is both A and B. It's letter D. Last question. Monopolistic competition might also be referred to as A, B, C, or D. Now, kapag nakakita kayo ng ganitong term, monopolistic competition, automatic, nasa isip nyo na, we are talking about the different market structures in economics. So, ano-ano ba yung mga yon? So, what does market structure means? Okay, market structure is categorization or classification. Okay, category or classification of different industries in a country, different business industries in a country, depending on what type of products they are producing. Kung homogeneous ba or heterogeneous. That means homogeneous means pare-parehas, so same, whereas heterogeneous, hetero means different, so magkakaiba. And it also depends on the number of buyers and sellers. Marami bang buyers, marami bang sellers, kundi bang buyers, kundi bang sellers. And nakadepende rin sa type of competition. Mahirap bang pumasok sa market na to dahil medyo tight ang competition, or madali lang? Kasi basically it's free for everyone. So when we categorize market, when we categorize industries based on this criteria, then we are talking about the different market structures. So what are the different market structures? Number one would be perfect competition. Now, perfect competition means in terms of number of buyers and sellers, maraming buyers and maraming sellers. It's under perfect competition. In terms of product, homogeneous sila. Ibig sabihin, pare-parehas yung produkto, walang pinagkaiba. In terms of competition, madali lang. Kasi madali lang pumasok and madali lang din pumasok sa market na to, sa industry na to, and madali lang din lumabas kung ayaw na natin. So, isa sa mga basic example ng perfect competition is our agricultural products. Okay? So, kapag tinanong kayo ano ang market structure ng agricultural products natin, it's perfect competition. For example, apple production. Ang apple naman, pwedeng maraming buyers ang magbenta, pwedeng maraming sellers yung magbenta dyan, marami ring buyers ang bibili. But, ang tinda nila is basically apples. Walang difference between the two products. The second type of market structure is monopolistic competition. And sa monopolistic competition, ito yung parang kakambal ni perfect competition. Under monopolistic competition, marami ka ring buyers and marami ka ring sellers. Ang competition ay hindi rin ganun ka-tight, although medyo tighter siya as compared to perfect competition, pero basically free rin naman lahat na pumasok sa industry na yan, walang any barrier. Nagkaiba lang sila sa perfect competition on the type of product. Because under monopolistic competition, ang type of product mo dito is heterogeneous, ibig sabihin different. So yes, pare-parehas in terms of in terms of the general aspect of the product, but in terms of value proposition na binibigay, magkakaiba. In terms of branding, magkakaiba. Anong example dyan? Hotel. Yeah, pare-parehas naman natutulugan, papaliguan yan. Pero magkakaiba sila ng type of facilities, magkakaiba ng presyo per type of facilities, magkakaiba ng branding. Yan. So, hotels. Oligopoly, it is a market structure basically with few sellers and few sellers pero many buyers. Mahirap ang competition dito. Kasi basically hinaharangan yung pagpasok ng negosyo dito by the few sellers who are already in the market. So for example, automobile manufacturers. Kaya kung papansinin natin, yung mga automobile manufacturers natin, kukunti lang yan. Bilang lang yan. Like Ford, yun dito sa Japan, Toyota, bilang lang yan. Hindi ganoon kadali na pumasok sa ganyang negosyo kasi bukod sa asset heavy or capital heavy yung negosyo na yan, minamanage din sila ng a few sellers who are interacting with each other to determine kung ano ba yung presyo. Monopoly naman, you have only one seller and many buyers. So, iisa lang yung seller mo, iisa lang yung producer mo, so sila yung may control ng presyo, although they are being regulated by the government. So, for example, kung let's say dito sa Pilipinas, ang minamarket lang na brand is Microsoft Computer, then si Microsoft Computer ay may monopoly dito sa market ng Pilipinas. Now, we go back to the question. So, market structure yung pinag-uusapan dito. Tama? So, alam na natin yung ibig sabihin ng perfect competition kasi na-discuss natin here, right? But then, itong pure market at saka imperfect, foreign sila. Hindi naman natin na-discuss. Or, na-discuss kaya natin? Yes, na-discuss natin. Pero, iba kasi yung term na ginagamit nila sa ibang mga books and references. So, when you say pure competition, pure means pare-parehas na produkto. And maraming buyers and maraming sellers. So, pure competition actually also pertains to your perfect competition. So, synonymous yung term na yan. Market competition is speaking of many buyers and many sellers and at the same time with homogeneous products. So, ang market competition mo is also similar to your perfect competition. Now, ano ang kabaliktaran ng perfect competition? Imperfect, right? Anong kabaliktaran ng perfect? Imperfect, right? Now, dito sa discussion natin kanina, yung monopolistic competition ay sabi ko, yung monopolistic competition is almost similar to perfect competition with only one difference. And that difference is on the type of products that they are producing. Under perfect competition, homogeneous ang produkto. Under monopolistic competition naman, heterogeneous ang produkto. So, when we say imperfect competition, yes, you are also referring to monopolistic competition. Therefore, the answer for this question is letter D.